Hi everyone, this is Startup Bright and we're here to talk all things startups related. Our guest today is Gavin, and he will tell us about his great location advertising idea. He already has a prototype application. So Gavin, go ahead and give us your pitch.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity. Happy to be here. I'm the founder and CEO of Seik Inc. Seik is a location-based social networking application where having friends, followers, and anonymity are optional. Currently, Seik is free on the Apple and Google stores without ads. It is in the practical prototype stage. We've accumulated 10,000 total users. Looking for funding mainly for marketing campaigns, specifically to get an 18-month runway to take the app to the next stage. Because currently right now we're at a point where it's kind of stagnant. Need to assemble a team to kind of take it to the next stage. And once we reach a certain threshold with users, we want to implement a location-based advertising network where users and businesses can kind of collaborate together. One kind of example would be, let's just say In-N-Out posts their franchise advertisement in Las Vegas, or they win the bidding auction for the Las Vegas location, and let's just say Gold's Gym won the franchise location for Glendale. So their franchise ad posts as a location-based ad in that specific radius. And then every 3 days or every set duration, this advertisement expires, and then franchises are able to then bid and auction once more per location basis. With this, we're trying to create kind of this everlasting partnerships, continual kind of bidding wars or bidding competitions, and a way for users to kind of take advantage of the location-based advantages that they happen to run into. So let's just say, a specific deal with In-N-Out happens to be in Las Vegas where it's $2 for the burger combo instead of the usual $3. He or she may show a barcode to scan it in and get that specific deal. That's just one example, specifically targeting the franchises. There are others where it's mainly user-based and others that are mainly advertising or franchise-based. But we want to gradually kind of pay attention to the metrics during the growth and then go from there.
Okay, thank you very much, Gavin. So your company name is Seik, right? And is it social application or social network?
Yes, it's considered a social network application, also in the photo video department, because also I forgot to mention, whenever advertisements are made, specifically advertisements, they need to be following a very artistic protocol so that users kind of are not able to easily tell it's an ad. They kind of feel like it's a part of the app, So yeah, it's in the social networking department, also in the photo video department, a little bit of entertainment because we want to give kind of an artistic outlook to the location-based posts being made. One other thing is when you launch the app, you don't need to have friends or followers right away, right? So that means the feed is already populated with whomever happens to post it anonymously or with their username. And obviously they do expire, but we want to give a fresh outlook, where right when you make your account, you don't have to be like, oh, connect my contacts or, getting right into that, because there's other apps that kind of focus on that. We just want to be something a little different.
So I'm somebody that just downloaded your application. What should they expect and why would they use your application?
Okay.
By the way, you have your app already on iTunes and on Google Play, right?
Yes.
Good. Yeah. That's like you already done a lot of work, and you pretty much have the product ready. You just need to get to the next stage where you acquire more customers.
Absolutely.
So again, I'm a customer. I found your application on Google Play. I downloaded it on my phone. What should they expect and how should they use it?
Okay. So what you can expect right away when you launch the application, you'll notice there's a revolutionary 3D navigation where like the tab-based isn't integrated yet, but it's like a cube where you kind of swipe and it's like a 3D surface type of page thing. So that right there kind of gives the user kind of a new like outlook on apps, because most apps are just tab-based. So immediately that's just something that kind of triggers their mind like, oh, this is cool. All the people we presented it to, thought it was amazing. So right after that, you'll kind of notice the multiple pages that there are. There's a friends page, notifications page, the main feed page. And the main feed page is the most important aspect because it gives you also multiple options where the most recent being the current, the most trending, or just your friends if you happen to just want to see your friends' posts. And what these posts are basically trying to convey is kind of the hybrid of what goes on with Snapchat and Instagram. You don't trying to give users a familiarity into the grounds. So like any photos or videos, like for example, videos you can record and pause and resume, kind of creating this cut and paste type of outlook, kind of trying to entertain people, funny, or trying to spread new ideas. And mainly the most important aspect is the location basis of it. People can get an idea of the LA vibe, or they can get an idea of the Las Vegas vibe. And the best part is it's not saturated, because 3 days, and I'm just saying 3 days, if it just starts getting too populated, I'm thinking about bringing it down to like 24 hours or something, where the posts just vanish, right? Mm-hmm. So like whatever stays on board, by the way, that's another kind of a marketing thing we want to do. Like if somebody wants to keep a post longer, they'll just pay a certain premium or something, or certain celebrities can do something with that. But the main aspect is the expiring part, and the part that is location based to kind of like give a vibe per location. Whereas most other apps are just friends and followers, or how many views I got in my story, things like that. So just a very emphasis on, and as well as anonymity and the option to anonymously chat as well, to kind of give a secured outlook, kind of like this privacy through transparency type of outlook.
Okay. And what is the location-based part? I didn't exactly understood that. So I can make videos, I can take pictures and post them, and they are live for a certain period of time. Mm-hmm. But what is the location-based piece?
Okay, yeah. So for example, if you're in a certain neighborhood or a certain radius, so let's just say in the city of Los Angeles, right? Specifically in the Hollywood department, when you post it, there's a map feature that shows up on the side of the post. So like if you were to tap that map feature, or somebody sees your post and they tap that map feature, kind of opens up the map and shows your post here. And if somebody made a nearby post, it would be there, and so on and so forth. This is just to kind of pinpoint where the post is coming from. That's the location aspect of it. So like let's just say somebody's anonymous, but they're trying to portray a certain picture in a certain area, but they don't want their identity revealed. Just kind of like going off that flow, that kind of innovation. That's the main location basis. But were you looking for specific?
No, I wanted to understand why you said location-based. Can I talk to these people that are around me, mm-hmm. And kind of form a quick temporary relationship?
And so I'll tell the difference between the friends and the anonymous aspect of it. When you see a post and you are interested in the user and his username is shown, you can add him as a friend. You can chat with them. You can kind of create a relationship from there, kind of like the usual that happens on apps. And the other option is if the user is anonymous and he posts an anonymous post, you tap on the anonymous profile picture and kind of initiate an anonymous chat. Mm-hmm. Once the anonymous chat is finished, kind of the chat vanishes, right? You kind of press exit and you both go your own ways. Mm-hmm. That chat just kind of can be a very encrypted temporary chat. It can maybe even lead like, oh, hey, this is my username, add me, I think we should network. Mm-hmm. And it could just be based on the location basis. And the main aspect of the location basis at the grand scale is going to be like if someone's peeking into like, let's say Germany or China with some content that the American user is very interested in, you could then network with that user, and maybe, connect other outlets like YouTube or Instagram and things like that, and kind of expand their network like that, taking advantage of the location basis.
I see. So, as a customer that just downloaded this application, I can take pictures, movies, and then share it with anonymously or with my username with people around me, or be part of network.
Right? Even groups, and as well as text broadcasts. So if you wanted to post strictly text, obviously, we won't allow spam. There needs to be a strict filtering system. But like if there's a certain event at a certain discount or something, it can be promoted just via text. Yeah.
And who is on the other side?
At the other side, like
Advertisers and...
Oh yeah, advertisers, franchises. We want to aim more towards franchises, as well as collaborating with like Uber, Lime, and like location-based services. So I'll give an example. As far as Uber goes, they use the map feature as well. Let's just say we connect Uber's map feature with our map feature, and the user is happening to use Seik while he's waiting for the Uber ride. It'll just automatically detect the Uber car and kind of show it on the map and show notifications as well, kind of helping connect it through the app so that they don't have to constantly open two apps at once. Obviously, they may have to keep the Uber app open, but they can still kind of engage while waiting or moving about. As for collaborations with other location-based apps, as far as franchises go, we think it's a big advantage where you can take advantage that franchises can take advantage that posting specific ads in specific areas, winning bids depending on the area. So like let's just say McDonald's gets certain metrics in the Los Angeles area. They'll just keep bidding every 3 days to make sure their ads constantly show in that area, because people are constantly coming in, their lines are out the door, etc. And like let's just say a different franchise like a Gold's Gym in Glendale has so many leads with signups, they'll just keep posting their ad in that specific area, because you know what I mean. Yeah.
What is your plan to market your application to customers, and then you can talk about marketing it to franchises and advertisers?
Yeah. So the main metric I was able to take as far as user-based growth goes would be targeting colleges, even high schools, but mostly sororities and fraternities. I know they take certain premiums or they take certain agreements with advertising or hosting their events. I was planning on approaching them. This is kind of how, according to my research, Tinder, Snapchat, and even Facebook kind of grew and exploded through this method. So that was going to be my main go-to. The colleges would essentially spread the word of this free application that didn't have any ads. A bunch of posts will be made, a lot of entertainment, a lot of, kind of popularity contests, things like that will start happening. And it'll just kind of create this word of mouth spread. Once it reaches a certain threshold, then we would reach out to franchises and say, look, we have this many leads in these areas. We're looking to collaborate and, kind of have your offering per your franchise locations. That's also another thing I was hoping to find the right network for.
How did you come up with this idea?
When I was 19, 24 now, it was in the concept stage, because I was always using social networking apps to kind of keep my network tight, and I was always fascinated at how much kind of opportunity they allowed compared to other apps or other businesses where it was kind of limited. Social networks can kind of connect or be an outlet for a lot of things. So it always fascinated me what I could innovate or look into improving in that field. So as time went on, I kind of paid attention to the top 3 apps, Snapchat, Instagram, and Facebook. They had their own kind of innovations and growth, but they like to stay in a friends or followers only kind of category. So with that, I was like, there needs to be some other way people can expand past that while also using that. So I started thinking about this anonymity aspect. I started thinking about this location-based aspect, because I'm going about my day, walking around and kind of looking at certain looking at, certain stores or franchises, and kind of being like, these two can link together, businesses and users. So over time I just kind of trial and error. I developed what was useful, what was not, like The camera being able to record, pause and resume is something useful. A lot of other non-amenity aspects and a lot of other ideas I plan to integrate, but I want to be patient to kind of keep the user excited during growth.
Right. How do you plan to monetize? What is your monetization plan? Like, how is your application going to make money?
Okay, yeah. So whenever the franchises post or win the bidding auction, let's just say $5 McDonald's bid and Burger King $3, the $5 winner would then have their ad posted. So through that $5, we would be taking a share, and then kind of recycling that to our staff and operations and things like that, and then taking whatever's left over into profit. As the concept goes, we just want to. The whole idea is per location. Whenever each franchise kind of rebids and bids, we want to take an accumulation of all those cities. So to get a general idea, looking at just a couple dollars per city per every 3 days is kind of the general scope of how it's going to be monetized. Now, obviously, the user count and the franchises need to be interested. So just an estimation, it would kind of work that way. But then again, there's so much to look at. It still needs to be kind of looked at it from a bigger perspective.
Right. Do you have who do you consider to be your competitor?
Well, I like to say Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat would be the main competitors because they are the main social networks. I myself use them. I believe they have their own use. I also believe they're kind of at their age where they're kind of declining or stagnant in their growth. So I would consider them as my main competitors. I do have great faith that we can come alongside them, be up there with them. But as far as them doing their own thing, another thing I was kind of in the back of my mind expecting, because of what I've seen happen with Instagram copying Snapchat, I'm kind of not going to be surprised if some of my features, let's just say, in the near future, start being copied by these competitors. That's another reason why I withheld some ideas from putting into the application. Let's just say on a rainy day this were to happen, then I would then kind of reply back with new ideas and just kind of go up with that. And that whole trend or that whole controversy kind of what happened with Instagram and Snapchat. I didn't really see Snapchat bounce back, but I do believe if they made an effort to really bounce back, that would just have put way more value onto them. So I see that bouncing back, if it were to happen, as like the finishing touches to being like the top used social network.
How did you create your application? Are you a developer yourself, or you invested your own money to develop this application? How did you do it?
Yeah, so at first I attempted to teach myself. I knew there was a lot of factors, and I was dealing with a lot of kind of crashes and trials and errors where I thought, okay, I reached a certain threshold, but the very basic threshold of me, myself, programming it. So I decided to reach out to freelancers online, overseas, whatever was affordable. So yeah, I would, whatever I'd bring in or whatever I had saved, I would kind of spend on it to build it. And I came to a point where I've spent enough where I thought to myself, and the only way it's going to go to the next stage is spending a much more substantial higher amount. That's why I consider the practical prototype and the amount of users accumulated with that a good kind of ground to take it, a good ground to present for,
for investing.
Yeah, for investing.
So you said you had 10,000 users.
Mm-hmm.
They are not franchises, they're
users.
They're users. Yeah. Do you have statistics? Do you have information how often they use it, how they use your application?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what I would see sometimes is over time they would just mainly log in, look at the feed, and then kind of go on with whatever, like maybe keep it in the background or exit out of it. So I kind of noticed that there needs to be more intuitive kind of engagement. With that statistics, I actually went ahead and completely got new designs. I didn't integrate them yet. I just got blueprints and mock-ups, and I currently have them in possession, where it makes it more like for example, I can say when I launch Snapchat or Instagram. The reason why I want to keep staying there is I feel like at that very moment, a user just is going to look at that one more user is going to look at my story, making me want to keep refreshing it. So I give this outlook that I want users to constantly refresh the app or make it so simple where they feel comfortable just kind of sitting on it or putting their phone down and it's still there. So that was the main metric. They would launch it, see what's going on, and then kind of exit out. And that makes sense because the millennial generation, or the me generation as I like to call it, are mainly focused on their ego and how they can further build it. So if they're not seeing any leads relating to them, they just then move on to the next thing that can lead to ego development. So
Okay. And what are you looking for in an investor? Like one aspect would be how much money you're looking for, and another aspect would be somebody that is in that industry, that area, or are you just looking for money, or you're looking for somebody that can help you develop with relationships and introducing you to other big companies?
Yes. So I would say yes to both of those. I'm looking for investors to give a kind of a runway, an 18-month runway, in the range of 500,000 to 750,000. And then as far as the connections go, I do believe they're very important, especially with marketing campaigns, and especially with penetrating schools, maybe the right people who know the right network in the right locations. I also believe celebrity endorsements and word of mouth spread and how they're able to kind of carry it on their side is also important. So definitely the right people and investors that are able to help, who have the right network to take it to the next stage. But generally that's the runway, an 18-month runway and about 500,000 to 750,000.
I see. Right. You plan to build a team here to continue developing, yes, or you will be using your offshore resources?
Well, I plan to build a team here. According to my experience with the offshore programmers, was kind of like the relationship was kind of, because it was so virtual. It was kind of hard to
it's hard.
Hard to convey that, being standing there and seeing it for myself and saying, okay, this and this is great, this is what needs improvement, or instead of typing it or even saying it over the phone, is not really the same in my opinion. Even with TeamViewer, right, where your screen is able to be shown, I still wasn't able to fully feel like I was conveying my viewpoint or vision through that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I deal with offshore teams in kind of day-to-day basis, and it's really hard to find good developers and build that relationship so they can understand exactly what you ask them to do and how to build it, and kind of have your own view and approach to the problem. So you mentioned you're looking in the range of $750,000, which is a safe bet for many startups. Have you thought about how much you're going to offer to investors for that kind of money? What is your take on that side of the deal?
Yeah, on how much I'm willing to offer, I definitely believe it's something up for negotiation, because I do believe a lot of back and forth, a lot of discussion, and where to look and what to do next will be involved. So definitely in the negotiation aspect is required for that part, in my opinion.
Okay, well that is that's good to know, that because there's so many options to close a deal. Right, it's not just equity. You can go different ways.
Yeah,
right?
The most viable option is what I'm looking for. That's why I believe negotiation is required.
Right. Have you thought about what your exit strategy would be?
Exit strategy? Yeah. Of course, I have it in the back of my mind. No great business owner would ever think of such a thing, but I had it in mind where, if things were to go south, I would do one of two things: sell off all the assets, whatever was accumulated, let's just say through the location-based franchises or whatever was able to accumulate, to kind of cut as many losses and kind of bounce back and look to other ventures, or kind of pass it on to the partner or investor, whatever state it might be, just assuming that the partner investor would happen to have a network or connection to take it up somewhere else. Those are my main two exit strategies, but again, I don't picture it going there. I just had it in my back of my mind. Those would be the two viable options.
And in my interviews, I always ask founders if they have a funny story to share with us or humiliating story, anything that you would like to share with our audience.
Yeah, a funny story. Honestly, not a funny story, but during my growth, I guess I learned a lot, which I thought was funny, through people and how they, presented themselves with me, and how, they kind of, I don't know if it's a funny story, but I think of it as funny, right? When I first started, I had friends who were really interested in working with me, and as time went on and they started saying, it's not making any money, it's not going anywhere. But in my back of my mind, I'm laughing because I thought this entire time they were on the same page. So I learned a lot through that. I thought it was the most funniest experience. And I'm glad I came to this point now where I didn't experience any loss or such a drag where I made this realization. That was probably the funniest thing I could think of.
Yeah. I guess every startup founder can share the same story.
Yeah.
I start with a big team, and a year later it's just me.
Yeah, exactly. I thought that's the funniest thing. That's exactly what happened with me.
Yeah, I know. This is a common theme among startups founders. Yeah. So don't worry about that. You'll find a good team again.
Looking forward.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for being on Startup Bright. And
thanks, Nick. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I hope everything is going to work out well. You find funding, and see you again in 3 months, let's say, and check your development.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Nick. Thank you for having me.